It's 10 o'clock. What up, though? It's your boy Willie Styles in the building. Welcome to the show. Everybody, we got everybody in. As soon as I can switch the screen around, there we go. What up, though?
What's going on, good people? How y'all doing out there?
Hey, guys.
Ready for a live show. Let's get to it.
Yes.
I think I'm super bright.
That's weird. I think we got a delay on your side. I don't know.
Who, mine?
On my side?
No, on Clint's side.
I mean, I hear y'all fine, y'all.
No, yeah, we hear you fine. No, it's just a delay. It's weird. It's like I can hear you talking and then you act.
Oh.
Yeah. No worries. I think the sync is like about maybe just a second off. You're fine. You're good.
Okay.
Anyway, what up, though? Thanks for joining the show. It's June 15th. It is another Monday. We have another great topic for you all. Tonight's topic is I just drew a blank. Right my face too. How are enlightenment, religion, and shared knowledge connected? So we got a great topic for you guys today. But first things first, definitely check us out every Monday and Thursday, 10 p.m. We're here to serve you, to have good conversations, great discussions, little debates, whatever we get into. You can also check us out on demand. We are here 24/7. You never miss a show. You will never miss a show because it's always available 24/7. YouTube, Facebook, all the video playbacks are available. Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Play Music, Apple iTunes, and all our podcasts, locations, Blog Talk Radio. That's where you can catch all our audio form podcasts and definitely catch the playback so that way you're not missing a beat. So definitely check us out there. As always, get our merchandise. I've got on my Skin Folk and Kinfolk shirt. You can get t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, all kinds of things and slogans and things that we say here, as well as different types of gear. So that way you can, fill up your closet. Definitely fill up your closet. I got like 7 or 8 shirts myself right now. So
yeah, I just got some more. I'm still waiting on 2.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I'm always wearing GFT gear.
Check this out. They were supposed to deliver my stuff today, right? And they talking about some no access. Like I live in some type of apartment, but I live in a house. Like, what are y'all talking about? No access. I've been sitting here. Yeah, I've been sitting here right here on my computer studying and doing work all day.
Leave the door.
I think COVID had they put up on all the sites when you order this stuff. COVID has a lot to do with a lot of our stuff being delayed. Because
they said they came.
It's not even just them that's getting delayed. It's the carriers, right? Because FedEx is 2 weeks behind here in Detroit. USPS is like a month behind. So there's a lot of stuff going, and it's weird because it's not everything. It's just certain things get behind.
Yeah, because Amazon been telling me so I ordered my other curtains and they were out for delivery, and then they told me that it's gone. They gave me my money back and reorder. I'm like, what? So I finally reorder them, but they come in Tuesday. They coming tomorrow, allegedly. But then I have always had stuff that say they're coming, and then it's like, all right, it's coming on Friday and it come Monday, or stuff like that.
So that's the cool thing.
So it just show up when it want to.
Yeah, for me it's weird because I usually anytime they tell me I'm getting something from Amazon, it comes the day before. It's like it always like I was supposed to be getting something today, but it came yesterday. So it's always.
So I think all the delivery services having that problem because it's just whenever the hell your shit gonna be there, it's gonna be there.
Right. That's what they need a status of. It'll be there when it get there.
Like listen, COVID happened. Whenever it get there is when it's gonna show up. We're not about to tell you when it's going. Because my daughter Banner,
all that shit, they don't.
Yeah, because I had somebody that had Prime ordering. I was getting stuff before them, and Prime, you're supposed to get that like the next day. They was
that's
like,
what I got.
The hell?
Yeah, I know. I got
exactly what I got.
Oh yeah.
They told me.
Shout out to Prime. If you don't got Prime, you doing life all wrong.
Yeah.
No, I don't have Prime, but my stuff was coming before my neighbor who had Prime.
Yeah.
But check, they told me mine was supposed to be here the 12th.
12th? Oh man, it's the 15th.
The 12th. You know what I mean? Now, since they sit down, I look at my message. Now they talking about between the 17th and the 20th. How y'all go from no access today to now 17th to the 20th? Like, what type of timetable is that?
Amazon is still telling me that I didn't get my bed that's already in my room, and that do I want a refund? I'm tempted to just get a refund. Like, oh, we don't know, have to deliver. You can get a refund. Like, it's in my I done made that shit. Like, it's
refund.
Like, hell no. Like, I'm trying to be a good Samaritan and just not hit the refund and get some change back. But like, y'all about to make me just because it's still waiting. I'm about to check today and see if I still can get a refund because I might press the button. Get my little $300 back.
Is real tempting. I gotta admit.
I've
had a couple of those.
I'm ready to get to it.
On our live
no. Now it say it's running late. But this was back in. This I ordered this bed back in, like, I don't even know when. Like, I don't even know when I ordered this bed. This had been like early March, and they're telling me it's running late. Like, that's what
it's gonna get there, but you gonna have a second bed on your doorstep. You better cancel that.
Word up.
Twice.
Y'all do what y'all want. I'm gonna sell that shit. Like, I'm gonna put that shit on. I'm gonna put that shit on Facebook. What's the name? Exactly. So that shit for like 200, 150 to 200. Be done. Like, let me get some of that money back. Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, check us out on the web, GFTradioshow.com, or on your favorite social media sites, GFT_radio on Twitter and Instagram, or GFT Radio on Facebook. So we got, like I said, we got a great show tonight. It's a very complex topic because I didn't understand it the first time. I'm gonna let Clint explain it to you guys.
Yes, please let Clint explain this.
It's real simple. So me and my friend was at a cookout a couple weeks ago, and we was having a conversation, and we was talking about everything that was going on as far as the riots and the protesting, mainly the protesting, but we was talking about the riots too. And we was saying what he was saying, you know what I mean? At first we was all in agreement about, like, man, listen, I ain't really too mad they tear a couple shit up, you know what I mean? Like, to send a message, you feel me? Like, I ain't really too mad. But then he came in, he said something. He was like, yeah, you know what I mean? I feel like today's generation is more enlightened than previous generations. You feel me? And at first I'm like, nah, because that sounds too like I hate the term that these new, like, a lot of people use now is very disrespectful to our ancestors, is we are not our ancestors. Like, talking to white people, like, we are not our ancestors, right. As if our ancestors was just there you know what I mean? Of course, you always
like they were
have
just laying down, accepting everything that they were given.
Exactly, you know what I mean? And that's really not the case. And that really shows me when people say that they really don't do their history. It was plenty slave revolts, you know what I mean? And it was plenty revolts before on the boats.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't like we just laid down. We always fought. They just we was out weapon, outgunned. You feel me? You lose that war. But you should, so you know, that's when he said that, it touched something in me, and I reverted back. I'm like, nah. And then you know what I mean? I'm like, what you mean? They more enlightened than us. And he was saying, you know, basically when he started off, he was like, well, it's more information available, which I agree with. It's more information that's widely available now, thanks to the internet and things. But I also warned him, I'm like, bro, just because we have more information now doesn't mean that people are actually going out and seeking that information and deciphering that information properly. You feel me? That's still something that, you know what I mean, a lot of people don't know how to do. A lot of people just search up stuff to verify their opinion. And we all can do that. We can all find information to verify what we feel. You feel me? So now I mean, I'm like, that don't make, just because we got a whole lot of more plethora of information available to the people. A lot of this stuff that these kids and this newer generation, including us, our generation, are talking points were previous generations talking points during the civil rights. You feel me? There's no different talking point now that wasn't going on back then. You feel me? That they already elaborated on, that they already expanded on, from group economics to doing for self. Like all this stuff has already been talked about. To police, to like how we was talking about in our private conversation with the video show about police reform and all of that. They always talked about this. Mm-hmm. So to say that they're more enlightened now is kind of disrespectful, especially when they, you know what I mean, they spearhead and they was dealing with worse type of racism back then than we are now. It was a harder time. Their life was really, you know what I mean? Like we see, and today, a friend of mine just texted me not long ago, they found another young black man hanging, and they trying to say it was a suicide. I posted it on my Twitter account. You feel me? You know, we getting these few cases. That was an everyday occurrence back there for, you know what I mean, an everyday fear for black people, especially if you spoke out, and especially for the white people. They was hanging other white people for helping and aiding us. You know what I mean? They got the same treatment. Right. So you know what I mean? I felt like that, you know what I mean, like we minimizing what they did because we could see the results. You understand? Like we could see the results from the riots of 68 and all that. They just led to, you know, some housing laws and stuff like that passed that really, that in the long run we see didn't really help black people in the whole. So the judge to even elude that this generation is more enlightened, we have to see results.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we don't have any results really to speak of as of yet. You feel me? And so then when that conversation led to, well, he said, we more aligned. He's like, bro, look at it. He said, look, most people nowadays, they're not even Christian. Most households in our neighborhood, you see, they fallen from the Christian. I'm like, well, what does that have to do with being enlightened? Mm-hmm. As far as that, because back then, during the civil rights movement is well documented. Everybody, it wasn't a Christian movement. You feel me? And we were never a monolithic group that we all thought the same. Now, I mean, that we all followed Christianity. Black people were never that way. Now, if you want, his term was 90% of black folks grew up in a Christian household. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, that's false. I was like, that number is too high. You feel me? And then he said, you can look it up. And when you look up these polls have like 3,500 people polled, 2,500 people polled. It's like, that's not giving the whole scope of our, you know what I mean, of our existence. You feel me? Of all of us. All. And I said, and also, just because your grandma was a Christian, that don't mean you was a Christian.
Right.
You feel me? Just because it was Christian people in your household, that doesn't mean you were Christian. Right. You feel me? And I said, and you know, we went on to, well, how many people, everybody you knew celebrate Christmas? I said, bro, you knew me. You know me. You feel me? You know, my mom at one point was a Jehovah's Witness. We didn't celebrate Christmas. So all Christians don't even celebrate Christmas. You know what I mean? So we just went in, it devolved in that conversation to Christianity. That's why y'all got confused about what, you know what I mean, the topic actually was. But the topic to me was, you know what I mean, that today's generation isn't more enlightened, not because of religious beliefs, not because of protesting, not because information more available. I don't think we're more enlightened at all, to be honest with you. Right. You feel me? You can just look. We did a show. We actually did a show on people going on the internet posting stuff without doing their research.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You know what I mean? We really did a show. It's like a lot of false information is out here. Mm-hmm. A lot of propaganda is out here on both sides, on white folks and black folks. You know what I mean? A lot of people push propaganda and stuff that's not true. Like you can follow some pro-black pages and then they'll post information and you'd be like, yo, that's not really true.
Right.
You feel me? Or they'll post a video, like people was posting videos during this protest. I'm like, yo, that video was 3 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, why are y'all
it's real easy to get everything convoluted. That's right.
And yeah, exactly. So I mean, that was just my thing. I wanted to see what were your thoughts on, first of all, comparing the two generations.
Yeah.
And then you feel me, do y'all feel like one generation was, move better than the other, so to speak?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for me, I felt like there was a connection once I understood the conversation, because I did recognize where the religion part came in. Mainly because, as you know, I study with the witnesses as well, just like your mom did, right? And the thing is that there are certain lessons and ideologies that are taught that will put you in a certain direction, right? And so if you look at pretty much most religions set you on a path into a certain direction, either for the purpose of knowledge, for truth, for spiritual guidance, whatever the case may be. So I think that there is a connection between religion and enlightenment, because of the fact that your ability to discern what is truth or what is factual for today's time, where do you get that information, right?
Exactly.
So in a time period like around slavery, around Reconstruction, we're talking about a time period where people, like you said, they were outgunned, outmanned, but they still had fight in them. They still had the ability to see that there was a way out. How you get out is the question, and that was the struggle, right? Because it was like, okay, we know we have certain people who are, like you said, that are having revolts. We have certain people that are escaping. We have certain people that are trying their best to kind of manipulate and manage master and the overseers, and then you have certain people who are just going to say, you know what, I can't do anything about this, I'm just going to chill. So you have all these different ideologies and viewpoints of how to best sustain in that environment. Once you got past Reconstruction, you got into Jim Crow, you got into the Civil Rights Movement, and you had those people who, like you said, were dealing with day-to-day fears, where their problem was, we have this inherent, or not inherent, but we have this proposed freedom, but we don't have the freedom of choice. We don't have the freedom of liberty. We don't have the freedom of livelihood. And how do we manage that, right? And then it became the problem of, do we try to integrate ourselves into where the white man is and try to do business as usual with him? Do we create our own industry and set up ourselves in our own areas and do our thing there? Do we just say, you know what, forget it, and go work for massa again, but in the capacity as a worker versus a slave, right? So there was that problem, those different groups, those different ideologies. When you hit civil rights, it became the problem of, you know what, we've been out of slavery long enough, and enough is enough. And we've had enough of the segregation, the underserved, the improper treatment, the racism, the this, the that. We need to be able to stand up to this, and then even then you saw they picked their own battles, right? You had some places, some people like Martin Luther King and certain student organizations that said, you know what, we're going to do this peacefully. You had certain ones that said, you know what, we're going to do this by any means necessary. We're going to be militant, or we're going to be stronghold. We're going to do whatever is necessary. You had some people in the middle. And so all these different generations, as you go through them, they all had their own individual struggles. They had their own individual enlightenment in terms of what was truth, what was real, and what was needed at that time. And I think, like you said, nowadays, there's actually a deficit of that, because the problem is that we don't have the struggle in the same way. We see struggle.
Exactly.
We don't have the struggle in the same way. If you look at it from the standpoint of, I'm 43 years old. I've gone through 2 or 3 instances of in your face blatant racism. My son, who is 13 years old, so he's 30 years younger than me. He's 13 years old. He has not seen blatant in your face racism before. He's seen, or he's felt what's the word? Like hidden racism. He's seen racism on TV. He's seen examples of racism in the news, but he doesn't personally have any examples that he can pick from his history and say, you know what, I went through this. I struggled with this. I don't have anything in my history where I had to be injured, be fully challenged, be, I don't even know what the best words to use for this, but basically, I didn't have to go through the things that my father went through. I mean, my father got spit in the face. My father had jobs taken away from him. My father had opportunities that weren't afforded to him. He didn't have the education afforded to him. He grew up in an era where it wasn't even just about doing better than everybody else. You had to fully jump over hurdles in order to get where you wanted to go. Right. So he had this, what's the word, Clint? He had this, when we were talking about that, the survival instinct,
self-preservation.
He had self-preservation on his side. He knew he was not going to make it if he just sat back and just chilled.
Exactly.
I had the same self-preservation, but from a different standpoint of all I could see was I wanted to get out the hood. Right? I was enlightened enough to know I need to get out the hood. I need to get a better education, but I had all these opportunities, right? You know what I mean? Yeah, they could have been underhandedly taken from me, but for him, they were in his face, removed from him. You know what I mean? So I think, like you said, that there's this disrespect that we're showing these past generations who had to fight, literally had to fight. My son has opportunities in front of him that he can choose or not choose. That he literally
don't have that. They don't have that how we grew up. Like they don't have that when we grow up. When we grew up, our parents robbed Peter to pay Paul to make sure we was good. Exactly. These kids, we were raised to be better than our parents. So now we're not better than our parents. We're doing better. Most of us are doing better than our parents were. So we're more established. We have college degrees. We're college educated, or whatever the case may be. Have more job offers. Go ahead.
To piggyback on your point right there, the sad part, our generation is not only going to do better than our parents, we're going to do better than our
kids.
We're going to do better than our children because
they got everything handed to them.
Exactly. Thank you.
They don't have that, and that's one thing. And it's funny because, like Clint said, I think even with this generation, I feel like it's a detriment because there's so much false information out there. They're easily misled.
Yeah.
Because you got with this social media, everything is with a click of a button. You can find something that's just unproductive and so utterly false that they can take that and run with it,
right?
And be so misinformed that they're just lost at that point. So they're not. I wouldn't, like I said, I would agree. I would not say that they're more enlightened than us. But as parents, for the ones that actually want to teach their children, we have to do that the same way we instill in our children.
But not even our children, though. Not even our children, Sonny. I'm talking about
people.
Us.
Period.
I'm talking about us.
Right.
Yeah.
Us. We're not more enlightened.
Yeah.
Than I don't feel like than our parents were. You feel me? Like not even our parents, our grandparents, generation. Feel me? I don't feel like we're more enlightened than them. I feel like all of us are more privileged than we did a show on that.
Yeah.
As privileged, we benefit from that struggle and the fight that they went through during that era.
Right.
You know what I mean? We benefit from that. That does not make us better. Now, I don't know if y'all ever read the book by Hill Harper, Letters to the Young Brother. That's one of my favorite books. You know what I mean? My boy Marcus had put me onto that years ago. Read it. So basically, his point in that book was, we are the new and improved versions of our parents and our grandparents. And he compared us to like software, how software has to be updated. Remember how I used that analogy, I think, last week?
Yeah.
That's us. So we're just updated software. You know what I mean? But it's also like a car, though. I like certain cars back then were built to last. You feel me? Like now, it's like they put them on that manufacturing line and they just trying to get money off of it.
Right.
You feel me? And I feel like our generation is more so a microwave generation. You know what I mean? We want everything so fast, and our kids too. We think everything's supposed to be so fast. We think everything's supposed to be handed to us when that's not really the case.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so, you know what I mean? Now don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. It's this brother, he named Brother Polite now, because now it's gonna sound like I'm countering my point right now. His name Brother Polite, right? So he said, which was one of the illest things I ever heard. You know what I mean? He said, you got to think a lot of our he said a lot of the stuff we learned from our ancestors, like some of the rituals. Remember how we talk about traditions? And that's why I said I hate traditions. He was like, basically a lot of our traditions we learned came from slaves, from our slave ancestors. And he said, ask yourself, were they really, you know what I mean? Our slave ancestors wasn't allowed to read, wasn't allowed to be educated, and all of that. So a lot of our traditions were based, you know what I mean, in ingenuity, but also in ignorance, not knowing, just trying to cope,
just trying to get right, trying to get by,
just trying to get by. So you know what I mean. A lot of that, so that counter that actually lends to my friend's point, to where he was like, we're more enlightened now. I'm like, okay, but we're skipping eras. We may be more enlightened in that era than we were in slavery time, because it was very few of us, if any, allowed to read, and you'll get killed for reading. You feel me? But when you talk about the beginning, and even before the civil rights movements, you can go back in the 20s, you go back to Tulsa, Oklahoma. We were doing what we were supposed to do out of slavery. Like, I think it's another, and I forgot, I was supposed to have put this up. I think they talk about how we went from basically illiterate, and then in one generation, like half of us, like 60% of us was literate. He's like, that's incredible. You feel me? Like, that's incredible. You never seen like another group of people do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So then you fast forward.
That's because we had that thirst.
Yeah. And you fast forward to our generation, to where education was frowned upon. Smart was being frowned upon. It went from education was our way to get out to, oh, you a nerd. You know what I mean? We cracked on dude. I used to get straight A's and act like I didn't. Not because
I used to get straight A's and act a fool because I was always in trouble.
Oh no, I embraced those straight A's.
But I had honor roll.
Let me explain.
I passed, but I passed.
Like, remember I told you on one show, we used to clown people in my, like, all that. We didn't play dumb. Like, in my neighborhood, we used to clown people you ain't know how to read.
Right.
You feel me? Even though that's maybe wrong, but if you was stupid, we was gonna clown you. You want to fight? We can fight. You feel me? Just because you stupid don't mean you can fight better than us. Just because I get straight A's don't mean you can beat me. We can fight all day.
Fight though, pretty good.
You know what I mean? But that's how it was. That's how it was. So we never really. But in school, a lot of people I noticed, especially when I got to high school, I noticed I was like, y'all celebrate ignorance. Y'all celebrate being dumb. Yeah. You feel me? And I'm like,
because you was always the kiss ass if you knew all the answers.
Exactly. You know what I mean? To where previous generations, it wasn't like that.
No.
You feel me? Like, education was it. You feel me? Education was it. Today, I feel like we got way too many distractions.
Oh yeah.
You feel me? It started with TV. You feel me? In our generation, and now it's just TV, computer, tablet, phone. You feel me? My daughter one day had the TV, watching the show on TV, watching the show on her phone, and on another phone that ain't even work no more, that just hooked to the Wi-Fi, she playing the game. Attention span is all over the place. Right. You know what I mean? So like, I just don't feel like, I feel like not that we're lagging behind or not that we're inferior. I just feel like it's a different time, and our struggles is different. And to say we're more enlightened just because we're fighting police brutality,
exactly.
You know what I mean? It's not.
Just because we out there setting stuff on fire, they think we're more enlightened. That's where the argument came from. It was the argument of, because I saw it on Twitter. The argument was people are out here blowing up stuff, fighting the police, you know, all this kind of thing. And they're like, oh, this new generation is so much more enlightened than us or than previous generations. And it was like,
okay, don't follow.
Like, what does that have to do with it? You know,
exactly.
Martin Luther King even talked about riots and riots being the voice of the people, or being the voice of the people, or people oppressed. So it's not like they didn't know what a riot was. It wasn't like they didn't know, you know, how to get out there and blow some stuff up. You know, we seen that in 30 years ago, 35 years ago with Rodney King. It wasn't like this is new. You know what I mean? So that was the first thing that threw me off. The second thing, though, is I had to take a step back. You know me, I always like to take a step back. Then Clint, you do this all the time too. I had to look at what's the definition of enlightenment. And well, actually, it's the definition of enlightened, because enlightenment is the act of being enlightened.
Enlightened, exactly.
So enlightened is actually, I'll bring it up here since, you know, I like to show
someone look it up.
Screen because, you know, it's so cool to show shit.
It's crazy. They had a whole enlightened movement back then.
Oh yeah, they had an enlightened movement back in the 1700s, right?
Word up.
Yeah, so, you know, it's the late 1700s to the 1800s. They had a whole enlightenment movement. But to be enlightened means to having or showing a rational, modern, and well-informed outlook, right? Which is cool, because every time a generation comes across or a new time period comes along, to become more versed in what's happening now is important, right? And we know for a fact that people in the 1800s, the 1900s, the early 2000s were fully aware of what was going on in their time period and how to handle that, right? Do we know how to handle what we're going through right now? We've been fighting the same struggle that they've been fighting since 1962.
Yeah.
Does that mean we know what we're doing better now? I don't think so. We obviously haven't either we haven't learned anything new, or we haven't come up with any new strategies. But secondly, down here, is it here? Yeah. Where was it at? I'm sorry. It was something I saw that really brought it home to me was the enlightened, to give someone greater knowledge and understanding about a subject or situation. That's that shared knowledge, right?
Yep.
So what I was thinking was, okay, maybe they feel like nowadays, because of social media, because of you know, the news cycle being faster, because of the internet, information superhighway, all that kind of stuff. Do they call that still? I don't know. That was an 80s term. But, you know, being that we can get information quicker. I think you're the guy you were debating had the same argument. We can get information quicker. So the information sharing is on overdrive nowadays. You definitely have this overabundance of information, right, wrong, or indifferent. The information is out there, right?
Exactly.
So I think, you know, can we enlighten more? Probably. You know, I'm more than 100% sure that we have the ability at this time, as early as 2005, maybe even 1999, that we had the ability to enlighten people more about our plight, our situation, our issues, things that we're going through. We had the ability to enlighten people. That I think we all can agree. We have that ability now that they didn't have in 63. That they didn't have in 18. I mean, you got to think. I don't know what the amount of time it was, but the time period. What was it? What was Juneteenth? Is
when slavery was abolished.
That was June 19th of blah 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 1865, right? Slavery was abolished in January 31st, 1865. Was when it was passed, you know, the 13th Amendment was passed by Congress. So from January 31st up until June 19th, the vast majority of slaves had no clue they were free. No clue.
Wow.
And I don't remember what it was. I want to say it was either the end of that year or the following year in 1866 when the vast majority finally found out. Juneteenth was when they found out in Texas.
Yeah.
So you got to think there was this large population of slaves
that didn't even know
for a year that had no clue that they were free. Mm-hmm. Or even if their master knew, he was not telling them. Well, he figuring, hey, if I can keep these,
they couldn't read.
Yeah, they couldn't.
Yeah,
for real. Know? So and then I mean, let's not talk about institutional slavery of the mind. Which you still had for 3 or 4 years after that during Reconstruction, when there were people who had no opportunities, who felt like it was better to go work for their old slave masters than to rather, try to venture out. Right. Because it was, it was a challenge. It was hard. Not to say that that opportunity to do that was any easier. I'm not saying that. I promise you I'm not saying that. But my thing is they didn't take that opportunity and they went back to the master and said, hey, I'll work for you if you pay me 2 cents the hour or whatever how much money it was, right? You know what I'm saying? And so you still have people who went back and still did the same thing they were doing already for the last 200 years, right?
And then as far as like we talk about cycles before, like how when we talk about abuse in a family, we say, if a child was abused not normally, but it's a highly more chance that he or she will be an abuser, right?
Right.
So ignorance is the same way. Now, it's a cycle. Not knowing, because what you don't know, you can't teach.
Right.
You feel me? What you don't know, you can't teach. So when we go back and look, all right, we move past slavery, because you're right. Everything you just said, I agree 100%. Right. So now we move to, later on to where now we getting it together as a whole, as a people. We getting it together.
Yep.
You feel me? Like you got all these black cities popping up because Wall Street wasn't the only one. Tulsa, Oklahoma wasn't the only one.
Exactly.
You feel me? Like that's another thing. So you get and they come through and they destroy everything, right? The white people, they come through, they destroy, they take everything again. They don't want to see us prosper. You feel me? So what happens? You feel me? When those black people who were doing good, they get knocked down. Now it's like it's no hope. You feel me? It's no hope. So now what happens? That cycle continues. You feel me? We built up, but now we right back to no hope. They're gonna take everything. Whatever we do, they're gonna kill us. So for years, what's going on, Javier? So now, fast forward to the day, you go back from
what up, Javier?
From the civil rights to now, from where civil rights started. From before civil rights, we were actually doing like a decade or two before that, we were actually doing well.
Right.
Then we go into the civil rights. When we were segregated, be honest with you, we was actually kind of doing better as a people. Boom. Now we're not segregated no more. What happens? From then to now, we hold the same position. Because we did a show about this. You know what I mean? Me and Willie, we was going back and forth. Like 1%. You know what I mean? Like I think it's like 1% of us is still doing better. Right. Doing good. And that's the same number.
Yeah.
That was back then. So tell me, when somebody tell me, oh man, black people as a whole doing so much better. It's more of us, first of all, than it was then. You know what I mean? Right. And then secondly, the number's still the same. The statistics still the same. So as a whole, we really haven't moved forward. You know what I mean? So for every Willie, it's 9 other brothers where he come from that's still in the same position that 9 other brothers was back in the 60s and 70s. You know what I mean? So what have we learned? Nothing. You feel me? What cycle? We just keep continue the cycle. So to me, like to say like we're more enlightened, now I mean like results. We can't be judged until results.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we can't like to tell me I'm better than my father. You have to wait till I'm dead and gone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I just can't say I'm better than my father. You know what I mean? What he already did is set in stone. What I already have done, I still got time to go.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you can't judge me until my results. So we can't judge this generation or compare this generation to previous generations until the results are in.
Yeah, I mean, I know that in the respect of career wise, in the respect of education levels, in the respect of financial outcomes, I've done better than my parents, but it wasn't because I was any more enlightened than them. It wasn't because I knew more about my time period than they knew about theirs. Because like I said, my dad, he went through a lot as a young adult, as a middle-aged adult. He went through and mind you, my father was born in the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So he was born in a time period where Reconstruction was I think it was at the very end of Reconstruction. So, he was going through a time period when blatant and in-your-face racism was just the norm. He didn't have an education that was integrated education. He didn't have even being here, or up north, because he went back and forth between the South and the North. And even being up north, even though it was technically integrated, there was still a separation. Like you said, there was these communities that were inherently just Black communities. And then socioeconomic status, right? Now, did they understand socioeconomic status at that point? I mean, maybe not, because at that time, you're talking about a time period when there was literally just poor and rich, right? You had this small group of rich people, and everybody
the middle class
was right. Was either working class or poor and impoverished, and they were trying their best to create a middle class, right? And he went through a time period when he was a young man where they were rebuilding from the Great Depression. He was, I think he was 7 or 8 when the Great Depression happened. And so they were just coming out of that, didn't really change a lot for his neighborhood, didn't really change a lot for his city and his area, but it was a problem of, we still need to be able to succeed, right? And so his opportunities were still limited, but he did what he had to do in order to succeed. Just like I'm doing what I had to do to succeed. I didn't go and get a bachelor's or a master's degree in order to do the job I did. I just did all I could to get the expertise and gain the success that I needed. I started businesses, whatever the case may be. I did everything I needed to be successful. Right. Yeah. So I think we're neck and neck when it came to understanding where we are, where we're going, and how to get there. We both were doing the same things, Now, just because the industry I chose, I'm doing better financially than he did. Just because of and it's a different time period, right? Exactly. There was no computers when he was growing up. There wasn't even TV until he was a young adult. And he was a part of a generation that learned how to build TVs. So it's a whole different environment, right? In terms of financial status, but then also from a standpoint of the career, he was an accomplished mechanic. He was an accomplished businessman. He started businesses. He was an expert mechanic. He was a welder. He learned how to weld on his own.
That's another thing.
That's about to say that because we don't have those trades.
Say it again.
I said a lot of us in this generation, our generation, and going forward, won't have those trades, as such as growing their own food. Like they don't know those things, like using your hands, being like it was funny because I was doing something saying I felt like I was in wood shop, and I cracked up because a lot of these kids won't have those things that we had. That was the end of our era. Wood shop, home economics, stuff like that. So where we were being taught like just general things in life and stuff like that. So they don't have that trade ability. They're learning either, and not to diminish it, but they're learning more about computers and stuff like that, where we had to, like, for us growing up, a lot of us had to learn things at a younger age, and these kids are not really getting that aspect because we have parents that are like what they call them, helicopter parents, that's always taking care of them, always doing stuff for them, so the kids don't know how to do for themselves. So like our parents before us, they had to do what they had to do. They had to learn things that we probably never learned how to do.
Right.
Like they did all this stuff so that and that's the thing. I think that's the cycle of us, how we grew, even generations back. Our ancestors did things that we would never do.
Exactly.
So or did things so that way we would never have to know what this life is. So and it perpetuates itself going forward. So we have to, and we talk about this, we have to, instead of raising entitled children, we have to have our children learn how to, like, saving money, being responsible adults, paying bills. Not necessarily, you don't have to put them out the house, but showing them, giving them responsibilities, something simple as chores, to be able to take care of themselves.
Skills, yeah.
Like just skills that they might lack because there's this is given to them. Learning, even learning how to research. My daughter asks me questions all the time. I'm like, go ahead and Google, figure it out. Like
exactly.
Sometimes you gotta.
Oh my God, why are my kids the same way? They
crack up because
go search for themselves. Like I think you mentioned that earlier, Clay. They don't reach out. They don't exactly.
Yeah, I crack up all the time because I crack up all the time because I tell my daughter, like, she's like, Mom, because we laugh about how I raise her. I raised her like I'm broke. Like at the time I was broke, we was homeless, we was living in a shelter, and that's the mind state I've been in since then. So I need her to learn how to maintain.
Sacrifice, yes.
Like you have to make sacrifices, rob Peter to pay Paul, and do what you have to do, but do it responsibly. Have those priorities in order, and understand that life isn't always handed to you. You always have, and I always tell her, like, don't ever lean on somebody else to do things for you or to think for you or to do stuff for you. You have to be self-sufficient, because at the end of the world, like at the end of the day, if I drop dead right now, you used to me, I'll be here. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. But I also want you to be able to take care of yourself. And I think that we in raising in our different generations versus our parents raising us and going forward, our parents taught us like that we don't have to do that struggle. But I think we need that struggle, because when you have that struggle, you have that will.
Self-preservation.
Yeah. You need that.
I want to piggyback off, and I got a question. I just want to piggyback off what you were saying. We talked about this. I love when we had these conversations, because remember when we was talking before, like, if the government just be like, all right, fuck y'all, fend for yourselves. 90% Black, white, Hispanic in this country won't know what the fuck to do. Exactly. You understand? How many of y'all know how to go hunt for your own food? Right. How many of y'all know how to grow your own food?
Yeah.
How many of y'all know how to
we die waiting on the food to grow because we don't know how to hunt.
We don't know how to hunt. You feel me? So I mean, like, when we talk about being enlightened to what? Just because we got more advanced technology, you know what I mean, that makes us more enlightened. Like, this stuff can go back. We can lose all of this immediately. You feel me? EMP can knock out all your electric immediately.
Yeah.
Look out when we got.
I think this corona actually. I'm sorry, I'm reading Shelly's comment, but I think this quarantine made a lot of people learn how to do a lot of shit. And we said that on previous shows. Like, this quarantine was the best thing that could have happened to a lot of people. Like you sat in the house. You had to learn how to become a better parent. You had to learn how to teach your kids. You had to learn how to do stuff. Some people that don't know how to cook had to learn to cook, because guess what? You sit in the house not doing nothing and wasting. You know how much money you waste by sitting around buying shit all day?
I was telling a friend of mine. I was telling a friend of mine, telling him all the time. I'm like, bro, you gotta learn how to cook. You feel me? You gotta learn how you cook. And I said, bro, you could have as much money as you spent on food over the years. You could have bought you a house, bro. That's how much. That's how much you eat out.
Look at how much people spend on lunch. A lot of people save money by not going to work.
2 to 3 times a day. So imagine buying a meal 2 to 3 times a day. You feel me? Sometimes your meal, okay, you might get a breakfast sandwich, $4. You want to, you know what I mean, get you a drink. So in total, you probably spend like $6 on that breakfast sandwich. But then that's just for you. But say you got a family, you know what I mean? So that's like $6 for like 4 people. That's $24.
Yeah.
Now you want to buy lunch. Now you spend like $30 on lunch. Then when you buy dinner, you spend $40 on dinner.
Like, and have enough for leftovers for the next day. You better learn. Like, listen, I always cook. I don't got time.
So I always say that. Like skills, like cooking. Like my grandma. I mean, this is why I say not all of us. I was having a conversation. We was having an argument right out here one day. I'm like, my grandma taught me how to.
Well, I know how to sew. I love sewing.
You know what I mean? She taught me how to. You know what I mean? Grow stuff. I got plants in my house. Am I as good because it's been so many years since she taught me that? I mean, I was a kid. I was probably like 8, 9. Now I mean, I'm in my 30s. So I just started like 3-4 years ago, really trying to get back into it. You know what I mean? So, but them with skills, I never, you know what I mean? Like Sonny said, we had home economics. You know what I mean? Where it taught me how to sew. We had wood shop.
Yeah. Yes. I love wood shop.
That taught me how to do stuff. But I also had uncles, you know what I mean, that build stuff. My little brother never built the tree house. He don't know nothing about building the tree house or never seen somebody build it, never even thought that never crossed their minds to build a tree house. Right. Me and my friends literally out there found a hammer and stuff and just built the tree house. You know what I mean? We just figured it out. You understand?
These kids nowadays play different. We don't even.
Yeah, they don't even come outside. They don't even know. You know what I mean? But the question I have for y'all, though, is do y'all feel like religion, not any specific religion, just religion as a whole, as a concept, holds us back as a matter, not even just black people, just people, period, holds us back from progressing?
To an extent. I think I'm gonna say this. I relate this because depending on what religion you believe in, it can hold you back from getting medical care that you may need, because people have different beliefs of certain medical situations. But I think also for mental health, a lot of people, if you grow up in the church, you're told to talk to a pastor or somebody else, and they come from a religious aspect of it. They don't really get to the grit of what's going on with you. They may lack the actual knowledge to help you with your particular issue. They might not have that realm of scope that they can touch on. So I think with a lot of people I see, like, you could be going through stuff in your life and they tell you to talk to a pastor. You can talk to God. You can do that all day. I do it too. I'm going through stuff. Sometimes I want to talk to somebody and get their opinion and try to fix or figure out where the root of the problem is and go forward. Sometimes you can pray to God to help you through that process. But I think it's a mixture of both, because some people get so in the mind, you don't need to talk to somebody, you need to talk to Jesus. Yeah, but sometimes Jesus sends other people to help you too, and you might need to talk to them. So I think people with mental health, that's a big thing for me, because I know growing up in that family where a lot of people that have mental health, it's frowned upon to go seek somebody. But I think it's a benefit, and everybody, and like the go-to is for us is to go talk to the pastor or some of that. Sometimes that pastor doesn't have that unless they have a psychology degree. They might really can't help you. Right. And you may need to go to an actual professional and pay that money to get the actual help and, get to them get to those steps. I mean, you could do both, but I just feel like some people get stuck on the one that they forget that that's another option, and then they get to the point where they're just so within that self. You know how you get when you overthinker, you get in that your head next, you just lost in that shit and you can't come out, and then it's hard for people to come out of that. So I just think in that aspect, as far as I know, or from what I have experienced, that's just for me. I think people get too hung up on religion when it doesn't just have to be religion. It could be talking to an actual professional.
Yeah. So from my standpoint of it, I want to go back again to, actually I want to go not again, but I want to bring up that Enlightenment movement that Clint mentioned earlier. So there was a guy named Immanuel Kant, and he had a paper that he wrote, or a book he wrote, called "What is Enlightenment?" or the question, what is the answer to the question of what is enlightenment? And so in his journal, he wrote that enlightenment is a man's emergence from self-incurred immaturity. He argued that the immaturity is a self-inflicted, not from lack of understanding, but from lack of courage to use one's reasoning, intellect, and wisdom without the guidance of another. So I think what we're talking about here when it comes to religion is that we're literally or people are literally making use of the guidance that they get from their religious leaders or their religion in general in order to make those decisions, right? And to get their knowledge and to get their understanding, right? And I think, in certain respects, it may be good because, being enlightened on how to be a good person, being enlightened on how to interact with people in your family, how to interact with people in your community. There are some good lessons in religion in order to teach you what to do in those situations. But when it comes to understanding things that are happening from a social economic standpoint, from a social interaction standpoint, from how, right now, like we're going through civil unrest. These things aren't talked about in Bibles or in the Quran or in certain, they're not talked to in the respect of how we deal. There's an art of war in most of those books, but there's nothing in there to say, you know what, if you're dealing with police brutality, this is what you do. I mean, if you go from Christianity tells you give Caesar's due and you do what Caesar says, right? And what that means is you follow all the rules and law, that regardless of if it detriments you or not, so long as it doesn't force you to do something sinful, that you just follow and you just agree to that, right? Yeah. So right now we have civil unrest. Civil unrest is going against that principle or against that doctrine, right? In certain religions and religious sects, they will tell you don't go and do protesting. Don't.
Oh yeah, and it's funny because you said it, because my son's teacher we was talking about the protest with my daughter, and she said that where her status in her community and her stature and her faith, that she can't do that.
Exactly.
Even though it bothers her, if she wanted to, she can't. It prohibits her from doing it because she's a minister.
Exactly. Because you're supposed to do whatever Caesar says. You're supposed to allow Caesar to be Caesar. You're supposed to wait for the kingdom of God to come and rescue you. You're not supposed to go rescuing yourself, right? So there's this inherent restriction that religion will put you under, from that standpoint. Is it right? Is it wrong? Some people say it's wrong. Some people say it's right. Some people say, hey, if you don't put all of your faith and all of your heart into just worrying about what God says and what He wants you to do, then you're doing wrong, right? Yeah. And then there's some people who think the opposite, who say, you know what, if you're not focusing on remedying your own situation and improving your own life, then you're messing up, or that you're a fool, So
can y'all see my screen?
Yeah, we can see you just fine. Hear you just fine.
Oh, okay. No, I was trying to share
something. No, we don't see you sharing. Okay. But yeah. So the thing is that religion does have its ways of limiting actions from people and not allowing people to have their own say or to have or to use their own intellect or wisdom. I mean, literally, oh, I think I see it now. Literally, there's people who will tell you in certain religions that doing things your way is the wrong way.
Yeah, you're supposed to ask God before you move.
Going about life wrong if you go and make decisions on your own without consulting God first.
Yeah. And I think, and that's I think that was a lot of problem with when a lot of people had with Martin during the civil rights movement. It was more of a let's pray for those that, like this, and not that he was wrong. He felt that he was right, and a lot of people that follow him believed that same thing. And then you had Malcolm and people like the Black Panthers was like, no, we got to do something different. We got to be a little bit drastic because this praying for our enemies ain't helping us. We still going through stuff we going through.
I wanted to share this because this is the debate.org opinions page, and it's just
do a zoom in on your.
What'd you say?
Then zoom in on that page for us.
Oh man, how I zoom in?
Yeah, go to the little three dots. Is that the three dots? So you do it
up in the top right. Yep.
Yeah,
right here.
I don't know. I can't see your mouse.
Yeah, and then go to zoom and do 150.
Okay, 150. Got you.
All right.
All right.
There you
go. This is one I wanted to. Did I get it?
Nah, it's a little bit good.
Okay, here you go. Here, you see it now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is one of the ones I wanted to show a comment pro and con of religion. As you can see, one right here, and this is this is how I felt as a kid. I'm like, man, a lot of the worst human acts were supported by religion.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? They use religion to do everything as far as terrorism, holy wars, genocide of Native Americans, and indigenous groups under the Catholic and Christian banner. Stalin raised Catholic, so is Hitler. When people believe that Satan to blame for your own wrongdoings instead of taking responsibility. You know what I mean? But then this one came back and was like, I don't think religion is holding society back. If anything, it's the contrary. You see, the purpose of religion in essence is to give your life a strong physical and mental basis to build up and continue from. Build up on and continue from. Exactly. Most religions are similar in aspect. It's usually about spreading cultures and values, creating a unity under mankind. It's pretty long, but basically the gist of that conversation was basically he was saying humans, men, women, you feel me, are the reason why religion failed, not the religion itself.
Right.
You feel me? He said
everybody interprets it differently.
Yeah, exactly. So he's like a lot of people.
That's why I say you could read from the same book and get 3 different perspectives from it.
Or even more, or this is basically the point he was making. Like, we know a lot of people who go to church, you know what I mean, don't really live that. Mm-hmm. You feel me? They go to church every Sunday, so we judge religion
off of them,
based off them. Right. You know what I mean? I know one thing, and Willie know this, and that was my mom earlier who commented. She knew this as a Jehovah's Witness. If you're not well versed and in the word, don't go teaching it to nobody.
Right.
You feel me? They tell you that. That's one of the things I love. Yeah. I did love about going to the meetings. They'll tell you quick. First of all, if you ain't baptized, you ain't no Christian. Mm-hmm. Secondly, we're not just about to baptize anybody just because you said you want to get baptized. You got to know what you're talking about, and you got to know, you know what I mean? You got to know things. Me, I took my Shahada about 14 years ago. You feel me? Mm-hmm. Do y'all hear me at any time banging the Muslim or Islam, this, that, and the third?
No.
No. Mm-hmm. Why? Because I've been off my deen for so many years now. You know what I mean? So it's like, why would I like that? I would be doing the religion a disservice.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like for the first 2 years, it's clean as a whistle. You know what I mean? But once I backtracked, I knew the day I backtracked, the day I lit that blunt up for the first time after, you know what I mean? I was like, I can't be going to preach or telling nobody about Islam, this, that, and the third, because I'm not living it. So then I'm doing, you know what I mean? I'm making Islam look crazy. I'm making Muslims look crazy. You feel
That's
me?
funny.
Go ahead.
Because I grew up in a church, and I remember I grew up in a church, Christian Pentecostal church, and we grew up in there by vacation Bible school, all that. And at one particular I think we was at a Saturday function for a diocese meeting or something. And all the kids that went to our Sunday school was like, "Oh, I want to get baptized." Like my sisters, a couple other friends, everybody want to get baptized. And they was like, "Do you want to get baptized?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm good." Like, because I was on some, I didn't want to get baptized because that's what everybody else was doing. Like, I wanted to do something. If I was going to do that, I wanted to be wholeheartedly in it, not just doing it because that's what they were doing. And not to say that they were doing it because of that. I just, for me, I'm like, yeah, no, just because everybody in church, I want to get baptized. I want to get baptized. Oh, great. Everybody's excited. All the people talking about all the kids going to get baptized this Sunday at the first service and blah, blah, blah. And everybody got down there. And then I'm the only one odd man out just sitting there like, all right. Like, y'all got that, like, you know.
But you did right, though. I mean,
and that's my thing. A lot of and that was my thing. Like a lot of people, my friends, like, "Oh, you didn't do," and I'm like, "Listen, I'm never gonna do stuff because that's what's supposed to happen. Like even when I had my daughter, they're like, "Oh, you're not gonna get her christened?" No, I would want her to choose that for herself. Yeah, you normally do it when they're babies. Yeah, this, that, and the third. I didn't even do it with my son because I feel like anything more as far as religion relates to my kids. I want them to choose it for themselves. I'm not gonna push it on you. My daughter went to church with my sister. She's like, "Nah, I want to go," and they go. My son loves it. He go to church. He love it. All the banging on the tambourines like that, whatever. But I want them to choose whatever religion they want to choose for themselves. I don't want to say this is like, yeah, I was raised as a Christian. My mom, I told y'all, my mom was raised. She was was a Catholic, and my grandma was a Baptist. How all that happened, I don't know, but like it just happened. But I didn't want. And then my stepdad was a Jehovah's Witness, so we was all up in there, just everything. So just all these different opinions. And then I keep dating Muslims or people that follow the Muslim faith. So we have debates all left and right about all this. We do the whole Quran, Bible, and everything, and that's great because, like I said, like Clint said, I grew up in the church, so you can talk to me about the Bible. I can tell you some Bible verses. We can go there all day, like because I know some do that because I was a hardcore Bible thumper for like 6 years straight, but. At the end of the day, like I feel even to this day, like I told my daughter, if I die, drop dead in the next couple of years, don't have me in nobody's church with my Sunday best in a casket, and I ain't been to church in forever.
Exactly.
Like don't do that to me. And it's not to say that I don't love God and I don't follow and I don't like understand the religion and stuff that I grew up learning and stuff like that and what I believe. It's not to say I don't believe things. I talk to God when I want to talk to God. Me and him have conversations about my life and how I need to get together and stuff like that all day, every day. But I'm not sitting here saying, Clint, hey, you got to be a Christian. You can't believe this. Let's just have an argument about, debate this, and stuff. So I just find it interesting that you said that because it's just crazy. It's just crazy.
Because with me, like I grew up in an interfaith households. And for those of y'all who don't know what interfaith households is basically what Sonny just said. Everybody is a piece of everything. You know what I mean? Everybody's a piece of everywhere. You feel me? You know what I mean? If I was at my dad's house, you feel me? You know what I mean? Or my grandma's house, my uncle may be a 5%er. One uncle may be a Muslim. Another uncle and aunt may not. They may be agnostic or atheist. You feel me?
Yeah, my brother was an atheist.
And then my grandpa, he telling everybody we Methodist. You feel me? So it's like, you know what I mean? So it was like a weird, like it was weird. You feel me? So I remember one day, my one of my uncles came home from jail. You know what I mean? He did a couple of years. Nah, not at all. You know what I mean? And he used it in jail to help him get through. You know what I mean? But when he came home, you know what I mean? He fell into the trap. What I was just speaking about, as far as he seen other people who he was kind of addicted to drugs. So he was using that to keep him straight. But when he seen people within a religion that who he was trying to latch on to wasn't straight, he fell off.
Yeah.
You feel me?
But you can't put it on people.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Because he was using it as a coping mechanism. A lot of people use religion as a coping mechanism instead of really having that faith.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Especially when you're going through something, it's easy to find religion when you're going through stuff.
Exactly.
It's like a lot of people, okay, so now you, okay.
And that's one of the things, that was one of the hard, my mom could tell you, I was reading the Quran before my dad passed or whatever, you know what I mean? But when he passed, when he died, like that hit me hard. You understand? So I ramped up my reading. You know what I mean? I ramped it up. You feel me? It was because I'll never forget, you know what I mean? December 25th, 2005, Christmas. You know what I mean? That's the last time me and my dad almost had a real conversation. And that same moment almost killed somebody. I was ready to kill somebody, shoot somebody. You feel me? Right in front of the house. You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy. You feel me? So I remember going home to my mom's house. So I was living with my mom. You know what I mean? I remember reading the Quran, like, because I was really about to murder somebody. You know what I mean? I remember I was in tears, and I'm reading it, and it calmed me down.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like, it super calmed me down.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, basically, my dad died. You know what I mean? That was one of the last conversations we had that day. You feel me? I remember his last thing he said to me. He's like, bro, he was like, they'll be back. And I was like, I'll be ready. You know what I mean? That was one of the last things. You feel me? He's like, I know. You feel me? He put his head down, laid down. You know what I mean? Died 2 weeks later. Ranked it up again, reading again. And that's what really made me take my Shahada. You know what I mean? Because it was a coping. And it took me a couple years to really realize, now I mean, like, I was into the faith. I dig the faith. If I was to, like I said on the show before, if I was to follow any religion again, it would be Islam, because that's more conducive to my thinking and to how I feel about things. But I think I've outgrown religion. I think I've outgrown religion. I think I have a relationship with God. I believe in God. Like Joy said, I believe we're made in God's image. If you know what I mean, I always believe that from the Bible. So we're made in God's image. That means God is in us. You feel me? God is in everybody. You feel me? We that's just how I feel. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I can't follow man's word.
Mm-hmm. Because if you, and that's what people get hung up on.
Word.
That's what people get hung up on. Because like, I know for me, I had this conversation with somebody shortly after I had my daughter. I think I was pregnant at 18. I had her at 19. I had graduated a year early, so I've been out of school, but whatever. I was still 18. And I was going to church the whole time I was pregnant. I was always in church. But that's back with my church days. And I was totally getting out of church. And then I think my pregnancy made me stay back in because I needed to figure out what was going on in my life. And I remember you talking to somebody that had been in church almost every day for 6 years. And in every function and all that stuff. And I remember after I had my daughter, things changed in the church. I couldn't do things that I was normally doing. Mm-hmm. Like, singing in the choir, doing the different plays throughout the year, like going to the diocese meeting districts, going to different like that, all the stuff. And then it started being that you couldn't do it because XYZ. And it really made me, and then it was like, oh, you're not wearing a dress. Mind you, I was a tomboy, but I wore dresses when they wanted me to. But at this point, I just didn't, for whatever reason. And it was always something. And after a while, I just stopped going to church because I felt like every time I walked through the door, it couldn't be that I was just there. Like I could be there in the word, in the spirit, and then I come as soon as it's over, like, hey, well, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, so I ain't got time for that. Because every time I come in here, you keep talking to me about what I'm not doing right, even though I'm here every Sunday. And still throughout the week, I'm still here, but you're still bugging me. And I had to get it in my head. I remember somebody told me, like, you, and that same thing I just said to you, Clint, we get caught up in what people say and make us stop doing what we've been doing. We knew was right, but we were doing, like, even though I was doing it, how I was doing it, it didn't matter because in churches, come as you are. Why are you worried about how I'm coming? I'm here.
Yeah.
So I should have.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is that we do get caught up in the people at church,
versus
what church is about, or the people that are in the religion versus what the religion is about. If you really look at it, what is religion? Religion should be your connection to your deity, to your philosophy, to your to your
Joyce said organized religion.
Yeah,
Right.
right. Yeah.
Facts,
Yeah. I mean, so it's not, it shouldn't be about the people that are in there. It should be about your relationship with God, your relationship with the spiritual aspect of what you're supposed to be doing, as well as understanding what steps you need to take to get closer to God. So if you're so caught up in what the people are doing, you're going the wrong direction already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the biggest problem. There's a lot of organizations, like Joy is pointing out, that organized religion as a whole can be very off-putting. You know, they can be off-putting. It can drive you, you know, almost insane, let alone opposite direction of where you're supposed to be going. It can definitely put a damper and turn you off and keep you from
exactly.
And then you lose that connection, right?
Exactly. Because it feels odd when you finally, like, you take a break and then you come back, it's like.
But I want to you're right, but this and I want to go to Joy point about what turned me off. You feel me? And whether you know this, you know this part of the rules. What turned me off with Jehovah's Witness, you know what I mean? Like I went to churches, I went to the Kingdom Hall, you know what I mean, mosque, I did everything. You feel me? Studied with the 5%, everything. I'm gonna tell you the one thing that turned me off, you know what I mean? And this is one thing I always say about Jehovah's Witness. You feel me? And I always appreciate it. They taught me how to study and use things in context. Stop using scriptures out of context. You feel me? A lot of people use scriptures out of context just to prove their point. But what turned me off is, and Willie know this is against the rule. When you're baptized, you feel me? They real strict with fornication, children out of wedlock. You feel me? They'll basically, what's the word?
Excommunicate.
Basically what it is.
Or disassociated. You get
disassociated. So I remember my mom got pregnant with my sister Rachel, beautiful sister Rachel. Understand at the time. So I remember the woman that brought her in. They were so strict with it that the woman she was this close with, that she looked up to. You feel me? They worked at the same job. Wouldn't even speak to her. Mm-hmm. They got on the same elevator, everything. You can still come to the meetings, you can still do all of that, but they won't speak to you. Mm-hmm. You feel me? And like that I seen what it did to my mom. Mm-hmm. You feel me?
Because that bond you built.
It made me so angry. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yo, like, y'all didn't even ask her, how did the situation, was it a mistake? Was she in love? You feel me? She actually tried to get married. Yeah, she actually tried to get married to make things right. You know what I mean? That's how, you feel me? Because she never wanted to leave. You know, by this time I was probably like 13. And I was like, nah, you feel me? They lost me. They never had me to begin with.
Lost you.
Yeah, but they definitely lost me. They never had me.
Yeah.
But whatever chance you had to get me, you lost it. So I remember about last year, 2 years ago, you know how they go do, how we used to have to go door to door. And one of the elders back then just so happened knocked on my door. You feel me? I seen him coming down the street, so I already knew he's about to knock on my door. I flung that door open. What's good? You feel me? I had the attitude, and whatever he was trying, he didn't know. I already knew his pitch, whatever they was going to. So I was able to go back and forth with him. Then I was like, bro, you don't even remember me, do you? You know what I mean? Because he had a young lady, because you know the elders, they take the young people out there to show them how to do it. You feel me? So now she looking nervous. And then he didn't realize at the time my mom stayed next door. You feel me? I was like, you remember me? You remember my mom? You feel me? I was like, y'all stop talking to her just because she got pregnant. Y'all wasn't this, that, and the third. But I really wasn't talking to him. I was talking to the young lady. You feel me? And I was letting her know, like, whatever they tell you, you know what I mean? And maybe I was wrong, but this is how I felt. You feel me? All this love, all of this. If you make one mistake, You feel me? They will cut you off. You feel me? And it's not gonna feel good. It cuts you off and whoever come with you. So they didn't just cut my mom off, they cut her kids, me and my other two sisters, they cut all of us off.
Right.
You feel me? So at that point, I mean, like that's one of the reason why I could never go
kids
back.
always speaking. It's like, nah, I'm not gonna talk to you. Like that's the move.
Yeah, like
bad parent.
Yeah, I would never go back.
I would never speak to my child.
Yeah, I mean the disfellowship principle is taught to you early on. You're not in the dark about it. You're not like left wondering about it until you get into it. That's not the case. If she was out there with the elders, she already knew. She already understood what this meant. You don't feel it. You don't understand the psychological
until it happens.
Aspects of that until it happens to you. You really don't. But the one thing, I mean, not to discredit what happened to your situation. The one thing that I do want to clarify, even though I don't like, I see the good and the bad in it too. I do. I see the good and the bad in it. But the one thing that doesn't actually happen, or shouldn't happen. I won't say it doesn't. It shouldn't happen. Is you should not be left alone. The point that you made earlier is that you can still fellowship. You can still not fellowship. You can still go to the meetings. You can still, take in the lessons and everything. So you're just not left out and alone. That's a common misconception, is that you're just thrown out there to the wolves and they just disown you completely. What it is you're supposed to feel like that. You are supposed to feel like you're disfellowship. You're not supposed to feel like, oh, you messed up. So you know what? Come on in and let's just have a party about it. You're not supposed to feel like that.
Oh, they would have disowned my blessing.
That's one of the common things is that people get caught up in regular Christianity, that you make a mistake and everybody's like, oh, it's okay, pat you on the back, let's just keep it moving, and
witness is not like that.
What their ideology is that you're not about to be patted on the back about the mistakes that you make. You're not about to be treated like a little kid that didn't understand that you just didn't know. Like I said, she knew what she was getting involved in. They told her up front, look, if you mess up, you're going to get disfellowship. And this is what it means. You're going to not be able to do this, this, and this. These people aren't going to talk to you. Now, you're going to still have communication with your elders. You're going to still have communication with certain people in the organization that's going to be there to help you get through that time period. So that's what I'm saying. That what should have happened for your mom is she should have been counseled through that. She should have had regular meetings with her elders, with someone in the organization, not every week, maybe once a month, whatever the case may be, that should have explained to her or should have been helping her through that. Now, and it's not like you're one and done either. I've seen plenty of people get disfellowship and come right back within months. Sometimes it takes longer because it's all up to you. It's up to you what you do. But I think that, like you said, the one thing that
I think I got this fellowship then, because they told me I couldn't sing in the choir. I couldn't do this.
Actually, I was mention that.
But you want my money. I was like,
and it doesn't just happen with the witnesses. See, that's another people to come.
No, that's what that's what I'm saying. When you say that, that's what happened to me, because it's like, well, not just me, a couple of us, and it was like, okay, well then you can't be in the choir, you can't be in an oratorical contest, you can't do this. You can't be on the usher board, nothing.
Right. Yeah, there's plenty of religions. The Jews do it. Islam does it. Islam does it all day. They will put you out.
They excommunicated Malcolm X.
Don't get it twisted. Jehovah's Witnesses are not the only ones disfellowshipping people. Islam is probably one of the worst ones. Jews too, because they will not only disfellowship you. It's not called disfellowshipping. They will disassociate themselves. They will talk about
Amish too. Yeah. Amish too.
So it's the conceived notion of what's happening to me at this moment, right? Like you said, Sonny, you can go through that and you can be taken off of your posts, taken out of your organizations that or your extracurricular activities you get to do. You may still get to hang out with everybody and they'll talk to you, but everybody looking like you ain't. Why you not going up there? Why you putting the robe on? What's going on? Why you not deacon no more? Why you not usher board no more? You know what I mean? People know. So it's not like there's this. You know what I mean?
And like you said, had they been like, we know the rules. You talk about premarital sex. We talk about those things. But I just think that like you said, if it's something where you get to that point, and that's what now things are changing. There needs to be a communication, and because when you like to Clint's point, when you feel like these people are your family, like you grew up in that, and that's just what it is, or not grew up in it, but you was in it for however long you was in for. You got an attachment to these people, and now things are changing, and you feel like the black dove that's sitting there like, so y'all just gonna really and it's hard to feel a part of something that you're not
a part of. Exactly.
And my issue
makes you go that way.
That's the bad of it. That's the bad of it. You do have that separation, right? And that separation.
You lose church members.
Let's say if it lasts for months and years, right? You know, I've seen somebody go a couple of years, you know, not being able to do certain things, not being able to be a part of certain situations, and that can get to you. You know what I mean? Like you said, you can feel left out. You can feel, you know, but if you, let's say you go through whatever the counseling is and you say, you know what, I'm good now, I can come back, I can do what's right, and this ain't gonna be a problem no more, you know, you right back in there. You back doing your thing.
One of my issues,
say it again.
One of my issues with not just Jehovah's Witness, with religion, and this is one of the reasons why, because gangs discipline you too. Follow gang rules.
Yes.
You feel me? But this is one of the reasons why
you don't want to get associated about a gang.
You feel me? But like with religion, and this ain't just about what is with Islam too. I never like being don't look down on me when I know your shit stink.
Absolutely.
You feel me? Just because I may have violated a tenet or a rule, whether it's an organization or a religion, and you got to punish me for that. Okay, cool. But don't look down on me like your shit don't stink. You feel me? Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? And that was, I guess, you know what I mean, one of the illest parts about the thing with my mom is like, one of the women, like the woman that did stop talking to her, like, you know what I mean? Your husband wasn't even a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah. You
feel me? Your husband wasn't. So your husband out there doing whatever he want, but you still talking to him.
Yeah.
You feel me?
So and that's one thing that's always got me, and I mean, and technically that may be one of the reasons I never got baptized. As long as you don't get baptized, you can't be disfellowshipped.
Exactly.
Plot twist.
Well, I shouldn't have been disfellowshipped. What the heck?
But see, they totally different. They baptize everybody.
Yeah. Well, y'all out there baptizing everybody, all willy-nilly.
You get a baptism. You get a baptism. You get a baptism.
You baptized by association. But the thing is that and I agree with you, Clint. Is that and I've been through churches. I've been to synagogues. I've been to, you know, I went to the mosque once, maybe 3 times. So is that you know, I think that the feeling, like you said, that people are judging you or are making judgment on you or anybody else when they're sinners too.
We saw your Anthony Walker Powder last week. You was over there.
Right. You know, it's like it's this show. I mean, it's disheartening because you're like, how are you making these judgment calls when you're not 100%? You know what I mean? And that's my biggest thing with any religion that downs or tries to go after people in different living situations than they're in, between, you know, living outside of marriage, or maybe living in a situation, because I mean, Joy was just mentioning back here. I mean, that says it all right there. She's taking the pastor's daughter to the clinic while they were claiming she was a virgin. Some of her to marry her kid's father. And you're talking about a situation where, you know, I'm not gonna, she didn't put it out there, so I'm not gonna put it out there, where she was just in a situation that she shouldn't have been in. You know what I mean? Like they're encouraging her to do things based on their judgments. You know what I mean? Not her situation. Had nothing to do with her situation. They're basing it on their judgment of her situation, their judgment of how they feel that everybody needs to live, even though they're not living it, but how they think she needs to live, And then where was it? No, somebody else mentioned something. But anyway, basically, you have these people making these judgments on people based on this fantasy of what they want to see, right? It's like, oh, you can't be gay, you can't be living out of wedlock, you can't be, living out of wedlock, having children out of wedlock, you can't be fornicating. And it's like, yeah, that sounds great on paper, it does, but people do it all the time. So you can't sit here and tell me that everybody in this whole place is 100% sin free, and then look down on me, or look down on another person, so that becomes the hard call, or the hard thing to swallow, hard pill to swallow, is when you're watching them make these judgments on people, and you're like, really? Like, really? You know what I'm saying?
You should be
like one, that's not enlightened. That's not helping people to become enlightened if you're telling them you got to do this way, and you're like, but you know what? I'm in the situation I'm in, and help me with this other part. This is what I need. I don't need. I'm good with this part. I'm good.
Yeah,
and that's a good point. That's a good point Tanisha made. If you highlight that, right, Tanisha, that's a good point. It may not be judgment. You feel me? And that may not, but you feel me? I think each situation also deserves some discernment. Now, she broke the rules. My mom broke the rules. Boom. You feel me? You have to deal with the consequences. But it's the way those consequences sometimes are dealt out in certain situations that people, going to rebel again. But in some situations it is judgment, and like you said, some situations.
He get froze.
Yeah,
he like this.
We were just saying some organizations definitely have a certain way of dealing with those that stray.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I agree with Tanisha that it's the disfellowshipping principle is about straying. It's not really about judging. But if you talk to witnesses, they be judging. If you talk to certain Christians, they be judging. You talk to certain Islamic people, they be judging. Every religion has these people that judge. But once again, like I've always tell people, don't focus on what people are doing. Focus on what you're trying to take from the religion. Focus on what you're trying to get out of it, what you're trying to learn. And Clint's giving me the wrap it up. This is a social distance and chill. We're not allowed to go 3 hours. But
Willie had me on there last time. I was yawning my ass off. He was hold on tight.
Line, people really do need to learn how to disassociate the religion or the teaching from the people. They do.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it comes from the bad, interactions, dealing with maybe being disfellowshipped or seeing somebody disfellowship. Maybe when you're in a Baptist church and you're no longer on altar staff or usher staff or up on the altar. I mean, on the what do you call those people? The choir. They're no longer on the choir stand. It may come from that. There's a lot of different things that happen, and people have to realize you can't really go and judge the God or judge the religion based on the people and how they are acting, because they're sinners too.
Nobody's perfect. I remember.
Yeah, and I mean, this could be a whole nother conversation. Is the whole God complex that pastors get? Pastors have a hard time understanding that they're just men too, and that they're not any better than any one of us just because they got a theology degree, or that they know how to read the Bible a little bit different, or that they can remember a bunch of scriptures. You're no better than the rest of us. So it's all about getting that or being that enlightening spirit for somebody else and bringing them closer to God, not closer to you. So
yeah, that's definitely the takeaway from that is to and I think to Tanisha, I think a lot of people find it hard to stop looking at people, because when you have a mentor, because sometimes when you start churches, you get like that, they put you in like a buddy system kind of thing. You have that person that you stick to you. It's the godparent or somebody that you look to like a sister. And it's very, some people, it's hard to separate the two. Because like I said with Clint and his mom, or like my personal experience, these people are like family to you. And for them to sort of disassociate themselves with you to an extent, it's a little bit heartening. Or to, when you see other people doing bad and they're trying to tell you to do right, sometimes it's like we tell our kids, do as I say, not as I do, kind of thing. But sometimes it's hard to separate it. But at some point, you have to learn to separate it. Like I know for me, it took me a while to realize that it's not about the people in the church. It's the fact that it's my connection, and I'm to the point where I don't even have to go to church. Like I'll go, but I don't feel like I have to go, because I can talk to God and have my conversations one-to-one. Like I don't have to, do what I need to do and talk and get my understanding going from there. But we do have to separate the two, like Willie said, and like you said too. It's just, so I think some people it's a little hard.
Yeah, no doubt. Clint's about to rejoin in a second. Oh, here he is. He's back with us. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely. I think we've definitely made the connection between enlightenment and religion. Shared knowledge is definitely a big part of that too. We all have our part. We all have a part to play. We all have our things that we need to learn, and try to enlighten others. Do your best to enlighten others. Do your best to bring knowledge to somebody else. Start with your kids, start with your community, then move out.
I think these two enlighten me sometimes, because Willie got his Jehovah's Witness one, and then Clint is just, I don't know what the hell he got going over there. He got a couple things, but I think we all learn from each other. Like, and that's one thing I always like about religion. I always like to know what people's religions are, what they believe, and like get an understanding of why they believe what they believe. I don't have to agree with them, and the people don't like that. A lot of people, I've had conversations with people, don't like that we have those conversations, but I want to know how we differ and how we similar, and why you believe what you believe, whether I choose to believe it or not.
About tolerance and understanding.
Yeah.
Facts. All right, well, let's wrap it up, guys. We're at the end of this hour. Go ahead, Sonny. Oh, that's not the right one. That's it.
Yeah, that is not my name. I am not Willie. I am not Willie with Z. I am Sonny. Hey guys, follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and TikTok. My last video, the Cat Williams one, is booming. Go to follow me at IamSunny_D on all four of those. And then I'm cheating too, because I'm reading like I don't know what my shit is. But anyway, also go to my website, unreservedlyme.com. Bye guys.
Smooth.
Well, y'all already know y'all can catch me on my blog, kingstruth.com, on Twitter at eTrentonGroomy, on Instagram, kingstruth609. Thanks, Willie, for putting this up, because I've totally just had a brain freeze.
I was reading mine too.
You know what I mean? And if y'all want to have occasionally check Snapchat, it's King's Truth.
No doubt.
So
I gotta be on Snapchat.
Holla at your boy.
I gotta post on there.
And y'all know me. I'm Willie Styles. You can get at me at Willie Styles everywhere. That's STYLEZ on IG, Twitter, and on TikTok. My crazy video is at 26,000 views now. Still don't know why.
Yeah, I don't. My Cat Williams video. I don't know why.
Yeah. But hey, I posted a new video today, so definitely check that out. I decided to make it exclusive to TikTok, so definitely go to TikTok so you can see my new video. I'm at Willie.Styles on Snapchat. I'm still not posting on Snapchat. What up, though? Just stalking over there. And then you can definitely get at me at stylesradio.com for all my new music that I'm listening to. WillieStyles.info for all my links. You're going to want to get at us at one of our different podcast locations for all the replays: Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play Music, Facebook, YouTube, Apple iTunes, SoundCloud, Blog Talk Radio. Get at us at one of those if you want to hear the replays or see us on the replay at Facebook or at YouTube. Other than that, catch us every Monday and Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern. Focus topic show on Mondays, Thursdays. We always have our social distancing and chill. We'll definitely be talking about some more civil unrest, some more police shootings, some more craziness, but we're also going to be having some fun. I got a whole list of things we're going to be talking about. We're going to hit a throwback topic on Thursday show. We're going to hit a new topic I want to bring up too. Then check us out. And then teespring.com/store/GFT Radio. Get our merchandise, t-shirts.
We don't know when it's gonna get to you, but it's gonna get there.
It's gonna get to you eventually.
we don't know what's happening. We said the beginning.
Don't fall to Teespring. It's all.
It's not us. It's not us. It's not us. It's the coronavirus, FedEx, UPS, or whoever the fuck delivered to you. They just getting there when they feel like it.
It'll get there though.
It'll get there.
But as always, thanks for joining. Thanks for commenting, and thanks for sharing us. Make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure
subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, make sure you follow our Facebook fan page. All that good stuff, and always check out our videos. And we'll see you guys in a few days.
Yep. Join the conversation. Check y'all in a couple days.
Bye.
Holla.